All right, I have decided that I would do a quick grammar video to make sure that we're all on track for grammar in the yellow and the red group this week. And this week we're going to be working on adverbs. So we know from our Shirley chat that an adverb modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. So this is our adverb. And an adverb asks how, when, and where. So we're going to take a look and see how these adverbs are working in our sentences. A little more advanced than last week. Okay, without blip for a minute. So here's our adverb, how, when, where. Those are the questions and adverb answers. And here's some adverbs: unusually, very, quite, to, very, and slow. So let's see, we're looking at adverbs modifying an adjective, okay? So an adjective tells what kind, which one, how many. An adjective describes something. So I'm going to say that today maybe we have a dog and the dog is really quiet, a quiet dog. So he is an unusually quiet dog, or a very quiet. Oh, this is kind of funny. Your dog is being quite quiet today. So there we've got our adverbs. Oh my goodness, my dog is whining to get in my office. Well, that's hysterical. I was talking about a quiet dog and my dog starts crying at the door of my little office. So these quiet, all right, oops, I'm not doing quiet, is an adjective. An unusually quiet dog, I'll put dog here, a very quiet dog, a quite quiet dog. So we're taking dog and we're modifying it with what kind of dog? A quiet dog. And then we're asking how quiet. How quiet? Unusually quiet. There's our adverb. We've got dog. We've modified it with a quiet. Is what kind of dog? A quiet dog. How quiet? Very quiet. Dog. What kind of dog? Quiet dog. How quiet? Quite quiet. Interesting. So an adverb can modify an adjective. There it is, modifying an adjective. An adverb can also modify another adverb. So we'll look at these to and very and, oops, that's not supposed to be slow. That's supposed to be so. Oh dear. I will. So we have three adverbs here, to and very and so. And we're going to look at how these adverbs can also describe other adverbs. Okay. We could keep our unusually quiet dog, and we could add our dog is acting too unusually quiet, or very unusually quiet. See, it can add on together. Or so unusually quiet. And in Aclitheo, we kind of have this thing in the past where we kind of look at it like, what is this? Some of you in 5th grade probably know. We kind of look at it like an ice cream cone with scoops of ice cream on it. And we call it an adverb ice cream cone. So we might say, let's put our ice cream on the bottom, quiet. And then we ask how quiet? Unusually quiet. And then we ask how unusually quiet? And we might have too unusually quiet. We've got an adverb heaped on an adverb heaped on an adjective. Let's see what we could do with very. Very what? What if we were very lost? we could be very lost. Lost describes what we are, okay? And how lost is very lost. And we could create our little adjective ice cream cone with, ooh, terrible ice cream. Lost, how lost, very lost. And we can heap up on top of it. Whoa, look at this. I'll show you that I can get an eraser out of here. We can erase our very and our lost from this board. And if we say, how very lost are we? We could add in, oops, I don't have my eraser off. Real whiteboard's easier. Marker, green. Okay, there we go. We were so very lost. So there we go. There's our adjective lost, how lost, very lost, how very lost, so very lost. And there they stack up. So what are we doing in our assignment? In part A, we have parts, number 1, parts of the Sahara Desert. We know it's a desert because it only has one S. Desert has more S's because we want more dessert. Are utterly bare. There we go. So they've asked us in the following sentences, there is an adverb that modifies an adjective or another adverb. We're going to circle the adverb and draw a small neat arrow to the adjective or the adverb that it is modifying. So this is easy. Parts of the Sahara Desert are utterly bare. And we're going to ask our adverb questions, how, when, or where. And so we could say how bare. How bare? That's easy. Utterly bare. So we're going to circle utterly. Utterly what? Utterly bare. And there's our, it actually says in the book to draw us a neat arrow. So I want a small neat arrow drawing from utterly over to bare. So on that first part, it's going to be pretty easy. You're going to look for your adverb, see what it modifies, and draw an arrow over to what it modifies. So it looks like when Josh did it, he had a little trouble on 7 and 9, but maybe you won't. Then down in part B, let's take a look and see what we're going to do in part B. So in part B, we're meeting naughty not. You've met naughty not with me, hopefully. If you're in yellow, maybe not as much as people in red. And the part is naughty not. Haven't, didn't, that's part of naughty not. Never, to, also, and always and also. And they want to make sure that you understand that those aren't part of the verb, but they're part of the adverb modifying the verb. So I didn't open the cookie jar. Nope, I didn't open the cookie jar. So we're going to say, okay, so how did you open the cookie jar? How being our adverb question, and you say, oops, I didn't open the cookie jar. So there's our adverb. I didn't open it. And what they're asking us to do is to underline the verb or the verb phrase of each sentence 2 times, underline the subject 1 time, and in the blank, write the adverb that modifies the verb. So before we panic, listen up. Let's use our Shirley questions. Who didn't open the cookie jar? I, subject noun. Well, we're not worried about subject nouns. What is being said about I? I open, there's our verb. And so our verb, they want us to put 2 little lines under it. I open the cookie jar. Okay. I open the cookie jar. How? And there's a line over here. How is our adverb? Oops, I didn't open the cookie jar. So there's our verb. There's our adverb. Now our verb might be a verb phrase. Never will I open the cookie jar. I don't know why I'm talking about cookie jars, but I have all those cookies left over from our little Roman roads project, so I'm laughing about that. Never will I open the cookie jar. New one. Now these aren't in your book, by the way, but you're going to do them in your book. All right, so who will never open the cookie jar? I. What is being said about I? I will open. Well, that's weird. Where does never go? I will open. When will I open the cookie jar? Never. There's your adverb. Will open is our verb, and never is our adverb. It's telling us when we will open the cookie jar. So let's look at the actual first one. Do a little line across here in our part B. And there's a line that says number 1, June has never had a failing grade in English. Lucky June. She's never had a failing grade in English. So who has never had a failing grade in English? That'd be June. What is being said about June? June has had, really? A failing grade in English. That's weird. June has had. Well, our adverb questions. How? When? Where? Those are our adverb questions, and we're going to, look at it. Oh, there, it popped up. We're going to ask, well, if we ask how has she had a failing grade, that doesn't work. When has she had a failing grade? Ooh, June. Never. There's our adverb. Never. So we're going to have never out here. And let's see. That's funny. We've circled the adverb there. I don't know if you had to do that, but you have to put never out there. And there's our verb phrase, has had. All right, let's try number 2 before I set you loose. I have not written him a letter. There we go. I speak faster than my computer prints. And we'll put a line there. Whoops, I just moved that down. I have not written him a letter. Who's not written him a letter? That'd be I. What is being said about I? I have written. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, can, could. Those are all our helping verbs. So these are helping verbs. Our verb phrase, I have written. Really? You've written him a letter? When have I written, or how have I written him a letter? Not. There's naughty not. Naughty not is an adverb. Not. Kids love to say that. I've written you a letter. Not. I've done my chores. Not. So that's the way it's going to work. So in part B, you're going to double underline a verb phrase. So you are looking for haves and hases and woulds and things like that are helping verbs. You're looking for your how or when or where that's in there, and you're putting your adverb over to the side. B is pretty easy. Goes on to the next page. And then our final part of this lesson is part C. So let's just take a look at part C. Okay, and part C, we have ly words. Ly, ly, and most ly words are adverbs. When I was in elementary school, I remember if we needed to do an adverb in Mad Lib, we'd throw an ly on the end, and that would work for us. But we know a little bit more than I was taught when I was in school. So sometimes ly words are also adjectives. So they might be an adverb and they might be an adjective. So an adverb is going to tell us the how, when, where. And our adjective is going to tell us what kind, which one, how many. All right, question marks, bad question mark. And I wrote so quickly that my which, W-H-I-C-H, was spelled wrong. So it is 6:10 and I had a long day teaching, so I'm back here in front of my computer talking to you. Whoa, we don't need that. All right. Oh my goodness. There we go. Emails are flying through. All right. So let's take a look. When we say the baby giggled hilariously, we're going to say the baby giggled how. Giggled is our verb, and that would be hilariously. So hilariously answers how. So it's going to be adverb, and it's talking about how the baby giggled. There we go. Friendly. The friendly student answered the phone. Friendly isn't going to answer how, when, or where. The friendly is going to answer what kind of student. Friendly. So friendly is telling us about the student, and friendly happens to be an adjective. What kind of student? The friendly student. So on our lines below, it says we're going to look at the underlined word, and we're going to find out whether it is an adjective or an adverb. And we can know according to which question. Is it answering the adverb question, how, when, where? Or is it answering the adjective questions of what kind, which one, how many? And I think you're going to find it's easier than you think it might be. So the first one is Aunt Vera. Did I get that? No, Vera's got to get a little bit taller. Aunt Vera annually gathers dandelion greens. That is on your number one in part C, and you can see it. Aunt Vera annually gathers dandelion greens. Ugh, my goodness, I can't spell today. Annually. Annually is underlined, and we have to decide where does annually go. What's it modifying? Okay, so let's take a look and see what it's modifying. Annually is telling us how often Aunt Vera gathers the dandelion greens. Okay, it's telling us when. When does she do it? Annually. That means once a year she gathers dandelion greens. Does she gather enough for an entire year? Or does she only like to eat dandelion greens once a year? Maybe she makes tea or something out of it. I don't eat dandelion greens, but I know you can make tea. So there you go. Annually tells us when. So we know that annually is an adverb. It didn't say what kind of dandelion greens or which ones or how many. It just tells us when she gathers them. How, when, or where. That's an adverb question. Number 2, the first green leaves, I've got to write fast, first green leaves in spring. Oh, this explains more. I like this book because it goes on and on like a story. The first green leaves in spring make a delicious salad. All right, there we go. I don't know about that. Maybe. I think dandelion leaves can get pretty bitter though. Okay, so we're talking about first. We're going to have to figure out, is this an adverb or an adjective? The first green leaves. So we've got leaves. What kind of leaves? Green leaves. And then, which green leaves? Well, which ones are they? What kind, which one? Well, they're the first ones. So we don't want the last green leaves. We don't want the middle green leaves. We want the first one. So this is a which one. What kind of green leaves are we talking about? We're talking about first one. So this is an adjective. So if you don't know your adjective and adverb questions and you're a little bit iffy on that, then I'd pause the video and I'd write down your adverb questions and your adjective questions, because that's what you're going to use to be able to do this section. And then in part D, very simply, write a sentence using the adverbs and draw an arrow to the word that it modifies. So I'm looking for some really silly sentences, and those adverbs are going to be answering how, when, or where. They're going to be modifying a verb or an adjective or another adverb. So there we go. That is the first lesson. All right, this is Thursday's lesson. Thursday's lesson is lesson 76, more about modifiers. So we're talking about how to diagram these modifiers that we've been learning about. All right, so on our, this is funny, the first one that they've diagrammed is Sarah smiled, and I gotta tell you, my dog Lily, she smiles. So Lily smiled will be mine. Lily smiled is our first basic, simple diagram. And when we say, how did she smile? She smiled, how about slyly? You know, a dog smiling at you can be a little bit strange. Lily smiled slyly. Let's practice doing some adjective modifiers. Lily is fat currently because she hasn't got a haircut in a long time, so she looks fat. Fat. She looks fluffy. Hopefully when she goes to her grandma, she'll get a cut. Fat, fluffy Lily smiled slyly. Now, what if we want to add a how slyly onto there? Well, how slyly smiled very slyly. Well, we're going to draw a little line that comes off of the slyly, slides right out, just like our ice cream adverbs here, and we'll put very slyly. Fat, fluffy Lily smiled very slyly. How very slyly? Well, let's add it on again. How about so very slyly? Now, fat, fluffy Lily smiled so very slyly. There we go. So you're going to hang them off like earrings off of the word that they're modifying. So let's look at the first one in 76. And the kitten romped playfully is our sentence. And you have a blank space to diagram. Romped playfully. Okay, so we're going to start our diagram off. Who romped? Kitten. What is being said about kitten? Kitten romped. That's to, you know, bounce around and play around, be really silly. So, and then where do we put the kitten? Well, that's an article adjective and it's going to hang off. Make sure it's capital because it's the capital of our sentence. The kitten romped. And we say romped how? Romped playfully. There we go. And that's how you're going to diagram it. So this will diagram down in space 1. I think you're going to find these are pretty easy. We did a lesson on adverbs in class. We had a little issue with our adverbs in class. We did it weeks ago. So come back, take this one carefully. You can look at the examples at the top and it's not going to be too hard. You're going to find the verb, you're going to find the subject, and you're going to find the modifiers. So you might find some adjectives and you might find some adverbs. So an adjective is going to modify our noun or our pronoun, and our adverbs are going to modify our verb or our adjective or our adverbs. So we'll work from there. You're going to work on that. Then when you flip the page and we come to the second part, so this was part A, and we're going to flip the page over and we're going to come to part B. Part B. Do not use adjectives where adverbs should be used. Oh, that's kind of funny. What just happened? I didn't mean to do that. Let's get out. All right. So in part B, add ly to turn adjectives into adverbs. So we had lazy as an adjective, and it becomes lazily as an adverb. We have that one's done. One is done for us. Number 2 has sincere as an adjective and sincerely as an adverb. Number 3 has immediately, it's going to go off the end, immediately as an adverb, and we'll take off the ly, immediate as our adjective. So you're going to just practice turning adjectives into adverbs by adding the ly on the end. And perhaps it might change the spelling or not, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like they're pretty easy to do. And then part C, tell whether an adjective or an adverb is needed in the parentheses. This is easy. Your smart brains are going to automatically know which one to pick. So the children sang sweet, or the children sang sweetly. Well, you're looking at how they sang. You need an adverb, so you're going to say sweetly. And you're going to circle that one. It's already written for you. So between sweet and sweetly, you're going to circle sweetly as your choice. More than likely, you can read it both ways and your brain will know which one it's supposed to be, whether it's supposed to be an adjective or an adverb. So that was the Thursday lesson. And now let's move on to the Friday lesson. Let me pause. So lesson 77 is reviewing our modifiers and looking at the words good and well. So in 77, it's got our little questions for adjectives and adverbs. So an adverb modifies a noun or a pronoun. An adverb asks what kind, which one, how many, and whose is an extra one they have on there. And an adverb asks how, when, where. That's right up there from the start. So for reviewing this, on part A, number 1, the fall apples produced bountifully. All right. And they want you to find the modifiers. A modifier is another word. We call them jewelry. We call them adjectives or adverbs. They tell us a little bit more. So we're looking for what kind, which ones, how many, and we're looking for how, when, and where. So we see apples here, and we say, what kind of apples? Fall apples. They want you to underline fall, and we're going to put that's an adjective. What kind of apples? They produced bountifully. Bountifully tells us about how they produced. Produced how? Bountifully. That's an adverb. How, when, or where. And it looks like, oh, there's a teeny tiny little adjective that maybe you remember from years past. Article adjectives. Teeny tiny adjectives. So what apples are they? They're the apples. This is also an adjective. And if you remember what an article adjective is, I'm perfectly happy for you to put an A for an article adjective, because it is an adjective, it is a modifier. So a, an, and the are all article adjectives. They are adjectives. So the apples, fall apples. So you might find the an and the in there. Then down at the bottom, crazy of crazies, there's another number 1 for part B, and you're going to take the same sentence from up here, only down here you're going to diagram it, and they've already set it up for you. So easy. So we're going to put our subject, our apples. What is being said about our apples? Our apples produced. Produced. There's our verb. Apples produce, simple subject, simple verb, simple predicate. And what kind of apples? There's our adjectives. The apples, fall apples. And how did they produce? Bountifully. So there we go. The fall apples produced bountifully. That's pretty easy. Now, after 1, 3, 5, apparently we don't have to diagram all of them. Number 7, 9, and 11 do not have the guidelines for you for diagramming. You've got to figure it yourself. So remember that our diagrams are our subject, noun, and our verb, our adverbs, our adjectives, and it's as simple as that. There's the way to diagram modifiers. We flip the next page, and on the next page we're going to talk about good and well. So I'm going to have you flip. So we have good and well. Good is always an adjective. It can appear before the noun it describes, or it may be used after a linking verb. So that would be SNLVPRA. Subject noun, linking verb, equal sign verb, and a predicate adjective. So let's see, dinner. Well, I didn't capitalize it. Grammarian. Dinner was good. There it is. There's our subject and our linking verb and our predicate adjective. Or we could say, I ate a good dinner. Oh wow, that was a good dinner. And in that case, good is telling us about what kind of dinner it was, working as an adjective. We don't want to say dinner was well, or I ate a well dinner. Well is a little bit different. Well tells us how something is done. All right. So well is an adverb, and well also can refer to our health. Okay. And when it's referring to our health, it works as an adjective. So let's do that here. How about I felt well? So this is how did I feel? I felt well. In that case, it's an adverb. Okay. And, excuse me, it's an adjective. That's kind of odd. I apologize. I felt well. It means kind of I equaled well in a feeling. In feeling my dog ate well. If my dog ate well, my dog ate well. That's explaining how she ate. She ate well. The opposite of eating well is my dog ate poorly. Do you understand that? So that's working as an adverb. Over here, I felt well. Feeling is a linking verb, and we haven't really dealt with that. Let's try a linking verb we've dealt with. I am well. In that, I am well, it means my health is well. I equal well, I'm of good health. There's our adjective. So this is going to be pretty easy. You're going to have to decide if a good goes in there or a well goes in there. Did the customer pay you good, or did the customer pay you well? What goes in there? Well, you can't pay good. Good can only be an adjective. So pay how? Pay well. So the first one, blank, is going to be a well. See how well you do? You could do a good job. All right, on C. See if you can figure out if it's a well or a good. And then we'd like to have a couple sentences at the bottom where you're using good in a proper form and you're using well in its two forms. Okay, well can be an adverb, how, when, where, or can be an adjective, what kind, which one, how many. So in that case, we're talking about health. Well, as the adjective is health. So that's all for this week, and I just want you to try your best, and if you hit some hard ones, get some help from mom, or bring it to school and ask me in the morning, and I'll talk about it. Something's really hard and you're really confused, we will gladly go over it. All right, have a great week in grammar. Oh, can I turn it off? Yowzer.